It can be both challenging and rewarding being a business owner. The Business by Design Duo podcast is for business owners looking for inspiration and ideas on how they can elevate their leadership and level up their business and profits. We explore all aspects of business ownership with a particular focus on empowering you to be a stronger leader by providing you with the knowledge to cultivate a positive and productive business culture. So join us, Elaine Richards and Tamara Lloyd, founders of Business by Design Duo, for inspired chats with our favourite business owners to uncover their journey, tips and ideas to help you in business.
Welcome back to our wonderful listeners, and welcome to you, Tamara Lloyd. How are you today?
I am excellent and so great to see you again.
As always, it is a pleasure. Another topic, another day, another topic.
That's it. There's endless topics when it comes to being a business owner and business leader. I think we've got a very
coach, business this.
There's a large pot of discussion points. So, yes, today we're talking about to being a manager rather than managing your team, leading a team.
I like that.
Stop managing, start leading. And obviously there's room for both within a business, but as the business owner, obviously your role within a business is to lead your team. So I guess firstly to look at what's the difference.
Well, and I have to say what's really changed over the years. So where we were, let's say 20 years ago is completely different to where we are today. And I have to say that where we were pre-COVID, I know COVID comes up all the time, to where we are today is very different. I feel
100%.
Through businesses, through leadership, you have to constantly change and reevaluate and move with the times. So,
well, I think, isn't it that the workforce changes as generations come through, as we go through different experiences. And I know we touched on COVID, but like that was a massive experience for the world, really.
Absolutely.
So things have changed, and as people have evolved and changed their expectations, our leadership and running a business needs to change and adapt, and that's ongoing. That's never going to stop. As soon as you stop, you die.
Well, absolutely. And, culturally, everything's changed inside businesses. So leaders have probably, I think if you were stuck in 20 years ago, what leadership was like, I don't think you'd have many staff.
No,
Would you agree?
You'd be a bit dusty, and so would they.
Yeah, absolutely. So leadership requires a vision and a guide of change, whereas managers needs to focus on achieving organisational goals, I suppose.
Well, I think if you wanted to look at what the difference is between, I guess, a managing or a manager and a leader, you would look at the manager is often a bit more focused on the micro management, the smaller things, whereas a leader is more focused on, I think, the bigger picture and having a vision for change, how to lead change within their business, whether that can come down to anything like processes or systems or
they're not
culture.
In the thick of it.
Yes, well, look, they might be, part of their role might also to be a manager at times, but that leadership role really leads by example, showing people how to do things by example, delegating, having trust in your team to take responsibility rather than there to manage them with every small little thing.
Really is micromanaging.
Yeah, exactly. And look, there's times when micromanaging is important, and that's probably the day someone starts. You kind of have to micromanage them quite often with your new process and systems, but you shouldn't be micromanaging them when they've been there for 3 to 6 months. You know what I mean?
And if you mentioned trust's a big one, because if you've been inside a business for over 2 years and you're still getting micromanaged, or the leaders in the business don't actually allow you the opportunity to prove yourself, or, to take on tasks and be trusted, it's almost borderline of insulting, I think.
Absolutely. And that's when you're going to get a bit of staff turnover. Or I think also you're not going to be attracting the best staff in your industry. So if you want to be really one of the best businesses in your industry, which I think anyone that goes into business should want to be the best at whatever they do, or, in terms of how they might be, you want to make sure that you have the right people within your business, and to keep the right people and to recruit the right people, you need to treat them in the right way. And you're going to have a lot of people walking out on you over time if you're not, as you said, trusting them, not allowing them to grow, not allowing them to shine. So, yeah, I think that's the way people show their creativity too and come up with ideas if they're allowed that
blossom
space. Yeah, they allowed that space. I remember when I was at the corporate office within Ray White, and the great thing about Brian White, who was mentioned him before, the CEO of the group at the time, was he very much let you kind of create your own role, which might sound silly, but he wanted people's different expertise and personality and creativity to be able to come through so you could take your role in the direction that you wanted. Now, probably not in the accounts department, but I wasn't in the accounts department. I was more in sort of growth and bringing new people on and training and development. So, you are meant to have a bit of creativity in those roles. And I was given that autonomy and, if I sort of went off track, I was brought back on track. But overall was given a lot of autonomy.
A lot of leg room.
Yeah, absolutely, and to come up with ideas. And I think that's what a leader does. It encourages you to be the best you can be.
And would I be correct in saying that given, and I don't want this to sound inappropriate, but the age of Brian White at the time, that would have been quite a unique experience because it was probably in a time where it was all old school and traditional.
Yeah, definitely.
So it was quite a real point of difference for you.
Well, absolutely. I think he was very forward thinking around the way he led a team. But you have to understand this man read a lot. He talked to some of the best minds in the world, not just Australia. He was obsessed by leadership and being the best leader he could be. He was also obsessed by culture and business culture, and I guess his interest in it and the way he managed and led the group, which went from like 50 offices to sort of 1,000 offices in his time. I mean, it's phenomenal. There's a lot to learn from that. That didn't happen by mistake. It's because he was a leader,
he was a great leader,
a visionary, and he wanted change in a positive way. And even when the stats were amazing, he was still saying we're a 6 out of 10, and that's
always
not a bad thing.
Improvement.
That means we've got so much more that we can do to take our business to the next level. And that was like, geez, most business leaders would stand here and go, oh, we're a 10 out of 10 or a 9 out of 10. But no, he was like, we're a 6 out of 10, and that's fantastic because it means we've got so much more room to go to that next level. So
he really looked at the world in a different light.
Absolutely.
Really?
And I think that's what it is. A leader is a visionary for their business and their world and is able to show their team the vision and allows them to be creative and work towards that and gives them trust. Obviously, they've got to know how to do their job, but, once you've earned that trust.
I think too, if leaders or managers in businesses are not taught the right way to be the best version of themselves as a leader or a manager, it can go horribly wrong.
100%. And I think if you think it as a parent, like we're obviously both parents, and you look back, I mean, it's the same sort of thing. You take your parents on board and sort of say, I want to be like that or not like that. I want to, that's the example that you have, and you either go towards it or go against it. And I think leadership is the same. And when you have your own business, you have the examples that you grew up with or in your early days of work and maybe your parents and things like that. And you either don't know any different, or if you didn't like something, you'll look for how to, improve that.
A good leader would obviously have a business of attraction, I would think, because the staff obviously would speak quite highly and would be very pro the business they worked for, and would have a lot of opportunity for, retention would be great, but they would have a lot of opportunity to move their way up a business.
Yeah, I think so. And I think also like everyone has different personalities, and a leader also is very in tune with themselves, knows what they're really good at, and also knows their weaknesses. So they will then bring people into their business that fill the gaps of their weaknesses. So a great leader surrounds themselves with great people that are better than them at certain things and or at everything. I mean, really, that's what it's all about, is it surrounding yourself with great people, and then you're going to attract more clients, because, you know, it's a business of attraction through staff as well as clients.
And you can't sit there and put your head in the sand and just, you know, go in, day out and do the same thing. You need to embrace change as a good leader.
Be curious. I think that's it, isn't it? You're being curious as a leader.
But I think it's good to be approachable.
100%.
Obviously take on feedback, listen. Listening is a big skill, I think, too, for a good leader.
And be open to that. I also say, I think a lot of people within, you know, the group, when I was working with the corporate office, were probably a little bit intimidated by Brian. You know, he could be a bit intimidating. He didn't need to say much, but, you know, he had a presence about him. But I would be very honest with him if I didn't agree with something, or I noticed something that I wasn't happy about, and which I did on a couple of occasions. And he often didn't say too much. You could just see him thinking, but then I would see that there would be some changes made in the future. So you felt that, okay, he is actually listening. And he didn't argue the point or get defensive or anything like that. You could just see him thinking about it, and you go, okay, thank you.
And how hard would that be? Because sometimes I'm sure you're going to have some robust discussions, and
I'm
you're
not backwards and going forwards, you know what I mean?
But I think you actually taught me sometimes when people come to you with difficult or challenging situations, and you really don't know, and you might not be happy about it, you just go, okay, let me come back to you, because, again, you need to digest it, think about it, and think, wow, how am I going to tackle this? Or, you know, keep you cool. But
and not to take things so personal. Like it's easy to get defensive when someone gives you some information that you don't want to hear or don't necessarily agree with on you know, on first hearing it, but when you sit back and have a think about it, you go, oh, I can see how they might think that, or that's where that's come from. And, you know, not to get aggressive or, as I said, defensive about it. Just say, okay, I'll let me have a think about that, and I just let it settle with me.
And I think for me in particular, I think it's quite rewarding if you know, a good leader inspires, motivates, and guides your team. And this was something when you have a young team that you know, over time we would interview them and see, well, where do you want to be? What are your goals long term? And we had great retention. But to actually work with them and mould them and watch them grow, I feel that's really rewarding as a leader inside a business.
Absolutely.
And I think they really appreciate that you've given them the opportunity and the guidance around that. So I think businesses as a whole, if you've got a good leader, your team can learn a lot from you.
Absolutely. And they can, I think it gives them inspiration for where they might want to go to, even if it's not within that industry, but how they can too lead people, you know, in the future or now.
But someone who's not a great leader and someone who's a manager and cracking the whip, dictating, micromanaging, let's touch on that a little bit, the downside of that and the damage that can occur from that inside a business. Obviously, we'd mentioned retention. People don't like feeling like that. And once you've had it if you've been in an environment of really poor management and poor leadership, you really don't want to go back there. So I think if you're coming into a new business and that's the culture of that business and the environment doesn't allow you to thrive, doesn't allow you to grow and be inspired, you're going to have an idea pretty quickly and you're going to be out that door pretty smart.
And I think the other thing is, like, at its worst, you know, that micromanagement, and it can be, depending on how it goes, it can come down to that almost that bullying or that side of things, which is obviously at its worst, and then you're up for lawsuits and things like that. So, you know, obviously that's an extreme example, but I absolutely have seen that where it's my way or the highway.
But you're not going to get the best out of your staff, are you?
Absolutely not. And they're going to be frightened. They're not going to, they're going to probably be off on sick leave, mental health days, you know.
And the customer, the flow on effect through to
feel
your customer,
the vibe.
they're going to certainly, and not only that, they're not going to be out there praising or being pro about the business, are they?
Oh, absolutely not.
Sorry, I was going to say, I think definitely you need to move with the times and really shake it up a little bit. And perhaps for any of our leaders out there, have a look at and reflect on, what do you think your staff would say about you and your leadership style and your leadership skills?
Yeah, absolutely. And we did talk in the last episode about exit interviews. That's probably a good time to even be asking about, as people are leaving your business, how did you find the management style? What was the leadership like? Getting some feedback around that so that you can, as a leader, business owner, learn from that. But yeah, definitely a really important thing, and just something. So I think something that I'm very mindful of and always have been is how I show up within my business, how that looks to my staff. So, and what I do, how that looks. So the perception of something. So it's how I might dress. What's my hair look like? What my shoes look like? That. So from a physical sense, but also what I say, how I communicate with people, my humour, or if I'm politically correct or not. Now, that can be. So I'm not a really formal person, but there's times when formality is important, and other times a bit of humour is okay, but not too far, because keeping in mind that how you show up and how you talk to your team is how they're going to talk to the team, and they feel that's acceptable. So everything you do, say, and insinuate, and, if you're late to appointments, all those sort of things, that does, that has a flow-on effect to your team. So are you showing up how you want your team to show up?
And you've mentioned this before in our discussions, Tamara. It's okay if you're not feeling great. You don't need to tell everyone you're having a bad day, but sometimes you might say, I'm actually working from home today, because you may not have necessarily felt that you were in the right headspace to come in and be the best version of yourself as a leader for your business.
Absolutely. And that can be more damaging than coming in.
Yeah. And it's okay to have those days, because everyone has good days and bad days. But that does come to mind. I know on many of occasions, you would say to me, look, if you're really not feeling the vibe today, why don't you work from home? Or, and that's okay. No one needs to know. You just, So it's being smart in your approach to your team.
And being aware, I think just that self-awareness, and also, working with your other leaders and managers within your business to help them be the best leader as well, and giving them little strategies, which is something that we have always done. And those little strategies make a big difference to how they would handle difficult situations and how they enjoy their job, etc. as well.
And how rewarding is it to, watch them? We spoke about growing, but I can guarantee you've mentioned today experience with Brian White, and that's been, gosh, how many years ago was that? I don't know. We're going to show our age here, but it's that lasting impression almost, isn't it? And that's almost a mentor in some ways.
100%.
Who's taught you. And I think over your career, I'm sure everyone of our listeners can resonate, good and bad, with different leaders. So I would like to be be the leader that, that the staff would speak very highly of. And
inspire. It's how wonderful is it to inspire people. And if you don't feel that you're there yet, just keep working on it. I mean, you said if you stop learning, if you stop learning, you die. So keep learning, keep, improving yourself, reading, watching, listening to podcasts.
Yeah. And ask yourself, what kind of a leader do I want to be, and do I actually resemble that?
Yeah, absolutely.
And mirror that.
And a lot of this actually ties in with our archetype, our leadership archetype assessment too. So if this is an area that you're really interested in, feel free to get in contact with us. There's a lot of things that we do around leadership, but you're also welcome to jump onto our website. At the top of our website, businessbydesignduo.com.au, there's actually a quiz you can take, and it gives you an idea of what type of leader you might be, and gives you a bit of a report on that as well.
Not a ruler, a lover, bit of a jester in there.
Yes.
Well, thanks, Tam, for catching up and having a chat about, some really interesting things that business owners and leaders, I hope, have embraced or can reflect on today in particular.
Absolutely. Well done. Great to catch up and a great chat.
Have a good day.
See you soon.
Too.
Bye.
Thank you for tuning in, and congratulations on getting to the end. If you loved this episode, why don't you hit the subscribe button, share this podcast with a friend, and leave a review. Reviews and referrals are the best way to help a small business. If you are interested in downloading any of our free business resources, go to businessbydesignduo.com.au and click on the Business Resources tab. We're Elaine and Tamara, and we can't wait to have you back for our next episode. You can connect with us on socials, Business by Design Duo, or go to our website, businessbydesignduo.com.au. Have an amazing day.